Do you want to know why speaking your truth makes toxic people's skin crawl and why they get so pissed and try to paint you as the villain? Well, the answer is very simple. Toxic people can't handle your truth because they're blinded by their own lies, ignorance, pride, and illusion. You are triggering the very truth that they are refusing to admit to themselves. You are triggering the very aspects within themselves that they are not willing to acknowledge and face. The very mistakes that they are not willing to take responsibility for. All the ways that they are not willing to apologize. All the ways that they are being prideful. All the ways that they are being ignorant. All the ways that they are lying to themselves. All the ways that they are so wrapped up in their illusion. The excuses that they are making. You are triggering the very truth that they are so committed to be in denial about. You are the truth that is shining a light on everything that they are in denial about, because it is as if you are walking around with a mirror, reflecting back everything that they don't want to face. They are running away from themselves, which is the reason why by even being in your presence will make them feel like their skin is crawling. When you just walk by, when you are around that person, when you talk to them, it's like you are literally shining a light on this. And they will hate you just for being around. They will literally get triggered just by you being around. That feels really uncomfortable. You are triggering the illusion that they don't want to break. Just like my favorite quote from Nietzsche, which I quote, "It's not the truth that hurts. It is the illusion that breaks. That is what hurts." The illusion that you thought that someone had your back, but that person turned out to be a fake-ass friend. And to break that illusion, it hurts their ego and pride because they feel and believe and think that they can never be wrong. They believe they are entitled to treat other people however way that they want to, that they can just get away with that they shouldn't be held responsible for that because, well, not only do they lack self-awareness, but they also lack empathy, but they are also entitled people. Due to that, they refuse to take responsibility for their mistakes. No wonder why they think the world revolves around them and everybody is wrong and I am right. And it's the reason why they get so pissed that they try to paint you as the villain. And this reminds me of a quote that I heard a tarot reader mention, which goes something like, "Someone's ability to grow lies in their ability to accept truths about themselves and about other people and the world." Please just ignore the way I pronounce the word truths. Just ignore that, okay? Whatever. But yeah, that's the quote. And, well, if someone is refusing to accept certain truths about themselves, of course they cannot grow. Of course they cannot become a better person. Of course they cannot take responsibility for their mistakes. Obviously. Because they don't want to break that illusion that they are amazing person, that there's nothing wrong with the way that they are treating other people. Breaking the illusion that, oh, I always thought the fact that I'm such a good person because I'm so religious, but that person is telling me that I'm a horrible person because I acted that way. Well, that's not true because I'm a religious person. Oh, I am religious. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, God forgave me already, you know. Like, I'm going to heaven because I'm doing all these religious acts. I'm a good person. I don't have to do any work. Just because you're religion doesn't mean you're a good person. And you can be a good person without being part of a religion. And a lot of people excuse a lot of bad behavior just because they're religious. And they're using a religion to excuse their abusive, toxic behavior. Just an example that I'm giving you, one of the illusion that they don't want to break. And what happens when that illusion breaks? That you have been acting like a horrible person. A lot of emotions comes up to the surface. Guilt, shame, anger, a lot of shame, guilt again, and the fact that you need to now take responsibility for that. The fact that you may have to apologize to that person. The fact that you may have to look at yourself and improve this behavior. And when you take responsibility, you change, you grow, you accept harsh truths about yourself, which toxic people refuse to do. So of course, they're gonna stay the same person, acting the same way, which is the reason why it's so much easier to just sit there and blame other people, try to gaslight them, try to play the victim. Of course, it's so much easier to be in this role than to take responsibility. It's so much easier to blame other people than to realize that you have been the villain all along, not the other person. And boy, that may hurt your ego and pride when you've always tried to make the other person feel like, oh my gosh, you are so wrong. That's kind of like a slap in the face. It's like, oh my gosh, that person was right. I was acting this way. I was being horrible. I was wrong. I mean, it's like a slap in the face to your pride and ego. And of course, toxic people don't want you to speak your truth because you are not as powerful. You may feel insecure. You may feel like you don't have a voice, and they don't want you to have a voice. They don't want you to feel powerful. They don't want to feel threatened by you. They don't want you to trigger the F out of them by speaking your truth, to voice out the very truths about themselves that they are trying so hard to suppress, hide, reject, and deny. And of course, you being the walking, talking embodiment of truth triggers the F out of them. As it should, because they have the power, the choice to take responsibility and look into that, or they can just keep blaming you, keep calling you all sorts of things just because you are triggering the F out of them. You know, everyone has that choice. If something triggers you or even myself, I can look into that, take responsibility for that, listen to that aspect of myself. Instead of going around and telling other people all sorts of things or blaming them, I can do that, but I won't. And that's the point. You are not responsible for other people's triggers when you speak your truth, because that would be you being a codependent. Because that's how I used to feel. I used to feel like I was responsible for the way other people felt. And I felt like I didn't deserve to speak my truth, voice out the things that I wanted to say, express how I truly felt. I didn't even feel deserving to do that. So unless you want to be a codependent, I suggest you speak your truth unapologetically, without shame and guilt. Something important that I also do want to mention, that this can happen to any of us. You don't have to be a toxic person for you to be in denial about something, for you to not see something clearly, for you to refuse to kind of acknowledge something or a truth about yourself, maybe because it feels really uncomfortable. For example, in the past, I made a mistake and I didn't realize that at the time. I thought I did the right thing. And later down the line, I realized, oh, I made a mistake and I had to go and apologize to that person and take responsibility for that, obviously. Or for example, when it comes to triggers, someone on YouTube made me feel triggered. By the way, that person didn't do anything. By the way, that person doesn't even know me. And I kind of asked myself, why do I feel triggered whenever I come across this person's post online? And I had to sit with myself and ask myself questions about that. And I realized, oh, it's because I wasn't allowing an aspect of myself to shine. And that aspect of myself felt triggered by that content creator who was expressing that unapologetically, which is the reason why I felt a little bit uncomfortable whenever I came across this person's post on my feed. And it doesn't have to be someone online, it can be someone in person that you know of. Maybe you are feeling a bit jealous. Then it's very important that you sit down and work this out with yourself in a healthy way. And you can absolutely do that. And it's absolutely normal that you can feel jealous. I can feel that as well, and I have felt that as well a couple of times. The only difference is the fact that I sat down and I worked through this with myself in a healthy way. That's what you do when you have a healthy, loving relationship with yourself. We all have a light and dark side of ourselves. And it's important that we integrate our shadow self and learn to acknowledge and accept it and work with our shadow self instead of rejecting or disowning certain aspects of ourselves. That's what you do when you have a healthy, loving relationship with yourself. Yeah, I just wanted to mention this because it's very important that you know this, that we all can be in denial about something. So everyone can feel that way. Everyone can experience this. The only difference between toxic people versus me and you is the fact that we are willing to take responsibility for our mistakes, and we are willing to look at ourselves and face truths about ourselves, even if it feels really uncomfortable, and we practice self-awareness and shadow work. That is the difference. Now you know why toxic people can't handle your truth and why it pisses them off so much, why they try to paint you as the villain. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next episode of my Step Into Your Power series. Bye.